Hey, welcome to the Grassroots Champions podcast, episode 2. As you can see in today's episode, we made some improvements. We have some artwork we're never, ever going to look at or hang up again. In the youth soccer segment, we're talking about evaluating players. How do you do it? What's important?
I have questions for you.
I have answers. In pro soccer, we're talking about aura. Is it real? Who has it? Maybe who doesn't have it? I don't know. In extra time, we have some Arsenal memes, which hurt me to laugh at, but we're going to do it anyway. And in the scouting report, some things that give you hope and some things to look forward to today on the Grassroots Champion podcast.
So the question of the day for all of you, respond in the comments, is aura real? If so, who has it? And how does it affect the game or the culture or the sport?
So this week, obviously you could tell there's some improvements in the sound, the lighting. We put up some artwork and some scarves from the teams that we care about. And Nate, I'm not sure if I told you about this in full. We put up our first episode. I don't think it was completely ready, but there's a reason, and it's called Cunningham's Law.
What exactly is Cunningham's Law?
It is this kind of idea that if you want to get the best answer on the internet, you don't ask the question, you post the wrong answer. So that's exactly what I did. So thank you everyone for giving your feedback. Obviously we are going to use it anytime we can because we're growth mindset guys. We try to get better every single day.
Let's go.
And you know, Cunningham's Law is very different than Cole's Law. Do you know about Cole's?
What is Cole's Law?
Well, coleslaw is like vinegar and carrots and cabbage and lettuce, and you mix it all together. And it's a pretty popular dish. I don't know how you don't know about that.
My favorite side dish for fried chicken.
Well, that's the podcast news. Nate, what is up with your week? What have you been up to?
So this is a really exciting week for me and my family. Logan and Lucas, my two U13 players, are invited to play in a reps tournament, which is the best players from Minnesota and I believe some of the eastern Midwestern states like Ohio, Illinois, and Michigan. So I will be traveling with them this Friday, and we'll go out there and play 3 games and kind of put our show to the test and see how well Minnesota does.
Yep, and reps stands for representatives, I'm pretty sure. So they're representing our state. So good luck to them. I'm excited to see some video of the match, hopefully.
Thank you. Hopefully. Somebody's supposed to live stream, so hopefully we can bring something back for you guys as well.
We'll trade you a podcast episode.
All right, Charlie, and for you, any relevant news this week?
Yeah, as you can see, we're big Minnesota fans. I have my Minnesota Stars jersey here. Nate's got his scarf somewhere over there. We got Minnesota United. We got Aurora. And one of those teams had a giant game last night. Nate,
I was there.
Nate went there. He was just about pitch side. Nate,
Row 3, everybody.
Tell us about that game. What happened with Minnesota United? Some people might not know.
All right, so our favorite local team, Minnesota United, the Loons, defeated Real Salt Lake in a best-of-3 series. We drew both games, but in this new format, things go to penalty kicks. And so, very exciting moment, but Dane St. Clair made a couple saves. One of the Real Salt Lake players put the ball way over the bar. And Minnesota United will be playing in the next round of the playoffs in about 22 days.
What? 20? Is that how long it is?
That's because of the international break and everything else in the MLS. There's more games to play. It's a best-of-3 series. We're already done, so we will not be playing again until almost Thanksgiving.
It's starting to add up now. Okay. So, yeah, congrats to Minnesota United. Congrats to their goalkeeper who might come up later.
Maybe, just maybe.
Stay tuned. We'll see. Nate, another thing that's on my mind recently is we just did our fall player evaluations. So that's an evaluation that I write up, I send to the U9 boys and girls parents, and then usually they show their players too. So that is right on the front of my mind. That just happened a couple days ago.
I actually have a few questions about that.
Oh, perfect. What do you got for me?
Let's get right into it. Youth soccer. So I've always been curious, Charlie, how do you assess player skills for the 7v7 age group?
I mean, there's the way that I do, and then there's a way that just about everyone else does, and they're all different. So let me start with that. There's a saying that if you think you have things figured out in youth soccer, you should probably quit because no one has it figured out. So I actually have prepared some examples for you today of some player evaluations I found just on the internet. Some good, some bad. We'll talk about them. Yeah, the way that I do it is I would try to have a lens of what are we doing at 9v9, 11v11? How can I teach them things right now that leads into success in the long term? Because we're not here just for short-term development or gains or wins or trophies at 7v7. We're trying to make players enjoy their soccer as much as they can, and that's not just at the youngest ages. That's teaching them things so they can enjoy their soccer years and years and years into the future and be successful with more of the the skilled things, the tactics, the fancier parts of the game.
Sure. That's one of the saddest things for me is seeing players over the years. At U9, there's 4, 5, 6 travel teams. By the time you get to U13, U14, there's only 2 and sometimes not even that. And you just wonder what went wrong or why do players, decide to do other things.
Yeah, and part of that is we're going from 7v7 to 9v9 to 11v11, so the rosters get bigger, players get jobs, get whatever.
Girlfriends.
Yeah.
Hasn't happened in the Confer household yet.
Just keep it that way. We got reps to do next week.
So another thing that I've always been curious about is when do you start teaching the weaker foot part of the evaluations?
So that didn't come up on any of my evaluations because in my evals, it's kind of a quicker one for the fall season. Just want to give, I think our evaluation was 2 positive things and then 1 thing to improve on. I could have written that for every player and it wouldn't be super useful, super unique for them. So there's certain skills like that, that are kind of general that you're always working on throughout the ages. So the things that I put were a little bit more specific to each player. Like if I saw a trend with a player where I see this same thing that's consistently happening, either good or bad, or in the middle. So I try to focus on those trends because nothing is really real in soccer development unless it's consistent. If it's not consistent, it's not really developing. Right? I could do one shot. I have 500 goals like this in my mind of 7v7 soccer. Player takes a shot with bad technique, and it flies right into the upper corner. But it's bad technique, though. And that's the only time they've ever scored a goal like that. And everyone's going crazy because it looks nice, and it's cool looking, and oh, it's a golazo. And I'll do a little clap or something. I'm not going to go crazy for it. Because in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, it's bad technique, though. It's not going to work. It's not consistent. That's one thing you've done one time. That doesn't mean that you're a goal scorer. Doesn't mean that you're a famous striker. It doesn't even have to be scoring goals. It could be anything. I'm not a great defender because I make 1 tackle. So I'm looking at things being consistent. And I think that's a mark for a coach is, are the things that you're teaching, are the players consistently doing those? Which sounds crazy at 7v7 because just about nothing is consistent except for fooling around and silliness and taking those shots from half field that have sometimes a certain technique. Yeah, they go in and it's fun. But as a coach, that's what I'm thinking about when I'm watching those games is it's not, yeah, we won that game. It's not, hey, we played like garbage, but we got a result. At 7v7, that's not at all crossing my mind. Yes, it's fun to win, but we're focusing on the things, like I said, that will be better long-term for those players. So I could go out in a single game or a single practice and say, hey, what are U9s good at, Nate? Name 2 skills that U9s are famous for.
Dribbling the entire pitch.
Yes, that's one.
And taking a shot from midfield.
That's perfect. So 2 things that will not work at 9v9 and 2 things that will never work at 11v11. I say never because it's just consistency, right? It's not a good chance. So I'm not going to encourage those things in the 7v7 game because I know that those will not serve those players later.
Totally understandable. Still 2 of my favorite parts about 7v7, though.
Hey, don't get me wrong. Part of the reason I love 7v7 is for the thrills. Okay, it's fun seeing a player dribble past 5 opponents and then score. It's also fun seeing just a crazy rip with good or bad technique from half field that goes top corner over the goalie's hands. Yeah, that's fun, right? We enjoy those things, but I think it's different roles, right? It's my thought as a coach is different than the spectators. It's different than the players even, right? The players will of course, they get super excited when those things happen because they're not thinking from the coach's perspective. And
Sure.
Parents might think, my son's amazing. Do you see that goal he just scored? That was crazy. But in my mind, I know it was not a crazy goal. It was crazy, bad technique. It was crazy for him to try that goal. But it's not crazy good from my perspective because we're trying to go for things that are consistent, that are going to work in the long run.
That's great. So would you say that you believe in a coaching style that accommodates the uniqueness of 7v7? Or are most of the things that you teach catered towards the larger sizes, like 9v9?
I had a little thought crisis about this a couple months ago. As we started the fall season, we played against a couple teams that do exactly those two things you named, where it's running down the field and we're encouraging just over dribbling. We're also encouraging shots from half, which I do sometimes when I know the player thinks he can score. That's why I tell the players, I say, if you think you can score it, then try it. And we'll review afterwards if it was a good decision or if you could or not. But yeah, I thought about that because I'm like, well, would it be better served for the players if I coach the things and encourage the things that they're good at right now that might not serve them later? But in my mind, though, I'm thinking, and this is part of my little crisis I had, I'm not saying it's right. For a bit, I was entertaining the idea of what if I teach or encourage or just have the players do those things, those skills that they are good at right now that are very effective in the game of soccer? Or do I coach building out of the back, controlling the ball? I don't think any of those coaches are not coaching controlling the ball. I don't think they don't value control of the ball. But it's just a different way of thinking, right? Sure. Is it better to just amplify those skills at the youngest age when those players are very apt to do those things? Or should we just teach the game as we know it's going to look like in just a couple of years?
Difficult dilemma, I imagine.
Yeah, it was, but then I talked with some coaches, which is why we have a podcast, we're sharing. And I came to the conclusion, no, you should teach the players the right way to play. There is a right way to play. Do not be encouraging the 5-player dribble thing. Yeah, it's fun. It's super cool. We want players that are good at 1v1s, not 1v5s. We want players who have good shooting technique, maybe good decision making too. So yeah, that's why I ended up after talking with some other coaches and sharing my dilemma with them, we all kind of agreed, just coach the real game. Coach what actually matters, not just the effective things.
So Charlie, you mentioned effective a couple times. What role does that play with parents' perspectives on their kids and how they play the game?
Yeah, so I don't think I explained the first episode, but I'm our U7 to 10 director at my club. So I get a lot of parents who are new to the game, new to competitive or club soccer, and especially during tryout time. It's a confusing time, especially if it's U9 players' first ever tryouts. Parents will see what's happening on the field because we let the parents watch our tryouts from a distance, being respectful, make sure the players are comfortable, but they can see what's happening at tryouts. So when they see a player that's very effective, like they're big, fast, strong, they have a giant kick, they are very fast, those are the things that kind of pop. Parents will see those and say, oh, well, that's a good player. Not thinking, okay, yes, it's effective right now. It can be very effective, especially when your whole team does that. But they're not thinking long term. They're not thinking from the coach's perspective. They're thinking from the parent's perspective or even from the player's perspective. The player themselves might be like, I scored 7 goals at tryouts. Why am I not on the top team? Well, okay, you've named one skill or maybe 2. I dribble and I shoot. You don't do checking your shoulder, using your space, helping your teammates. You don't do keeping the ball close when you're dribbling. There's a lot of space at 7v7. You go from 5v5, double the field size essentially. There's twice the space, only 4 extra players on the field. You're going to have lots of space to run into. It does not mean that player is a good player at soccer. It means they might be effective. And I know people are in the comments, hopefully, maybe shouting at me right now saying, well, how can you be effective but not good at soccer? And I think we talk about the kind of the higher values in soccer. That is controlling the ball, right? I need to control the ball so I can look up. Hopefully you looked up before you controlled it. But then I look up again maybe, and then I can see the field and make a decision. So a lot of times what I see when the players who shoot from half or dribble 5 players, they're not really making a decision. They're looking at the ball comes to them and they get very excited, so they want to smack it, which happens all the time. They are looking at the ball so they don't see that second defender. There's enough space there because the defenders haven't learned to cover each other. They haven't learned how to fill those spaces yet, but they will. So yeah, it's effective right now, but that doesn't mean it's going to be effective later. It doesn't mean that player is doing a super effective and important skill of the game, which is processing the game, reading the game around them. So when I see players that are very effective, but they're looking straight at the ball or just doing things instinctively and reacting, that's a telltale sign of a player who might be effective but not good at soccer, in my opinion. Yeah, and I think part of this is it's just not knowing, right? And I have actually some examples here of player evaluations I found from the internet, which is a great place to find soccer things. Also, really a terrible place to find things on the internet. So we're going to show you a couple of those, and we're going to talk about how do you evaluate players, what skills are important. And remember, no one has it figured out. No one has the right answer. We're giving our opinions, though. Let's take a look. Oh, perfect timing.
Man, you. Come on, buddy.
Don't look at the man behind the curtain.
Oh, you're feeling just a big heap. Kind of like their season.
Oh. So Nate, I have here on the screen our Rush Soccer age group goals. So this breaks down at every level from U9 and 10, U11 and 12 and on. It shows coaches a distribution of what they should be coaching throughout any given year in that age group. So you see here it's broken into tactical, technical, physical, and psychosocial categories. And then each of those has bullet points under it. So we have under tactical, for example, it's attacking and defending principles, it's playing out of the back, it's switching play, combinations, transition, possession, so kind of those principles of the game. And then in technical, we have passing and receiving, running with the ball, turning, shooting, ball control, 1v1 attacking, shielding, receiving to turn.
All the fun stuff.
All the fun stuff, right? Not just dribbling past 5 players. There's a whole bunch that goes into technique. You can see even just in technical, just in dribbling, we have running with the ball, dribbling, turning, ball control, handling. That's heading. Never mind. Small screen. 1v1 attacking, shielding the ball, receiving to turn, 1v1 defending. A lot of these are very similar to that effective player that we talked about earlier. But it's not just dribbling at speed or dribbling with space. It's multiple types of dribbling. So even just in dribbling there, we have several different kinds of ways you can use your foot skill. So it's not just as simple as good at dribbling. In physical, we have, well, a lot of things, basically everything that your body can do, and different types of things too, like aerobic and anaerobic. How are those things different? Which one are more valuable at certain ages? Or which one should we load the players with more? And then in psychosocial, that is things like getting along with your teammates, having motivation, being respectful, being self-confident of yourself, being disciplined, and being motivated too.
Very underrated attributes.
Yep, for sure. And there's no session, right? There's no session plan about being self-confident. There's no session plan about being motivated. There's no session plan about commitment. So that's something that you as a coach can do and encourage as the players go. Kind of like the weak foot. Right? It's like we never stop being respectful. We never stop being confident. We never stop being disciplined, ever, even one day, right? So it's not like it's a session, but a lot of these things in the psychosocial category are things that you can do as a coach that maybe, hey, something happens in the game, and now that's something I can talk about. Or, hey, something happens at training between me and my teammate or something. Coach can tell us how to resolve that, right? So there's lots more that goes into it than just, and even in attacking principles, that could be, the principles of play, length, width, penetration, improvisation. There's the other one I'm blanking on right now, but there's a lot in there. So yeah, this kind of gives a blueprint of what you can do with your U9 and 10 team just in a year, and it's broken down into, like I said, all those categories. So this gives a blueprint of kind of how our club works together, how coaches between different age groups can collaborate, and we kind of know what the age group before was teaching and learning, so we know what's going to happen next.
And what are we looking at with this evaluation form?
So this is one I found, I think it was one of the first links on Google for just soccer player evaluation, and it's just a technical one. So it's got controlling, receiving, dribbling, passing, shooting, crossing, turning, ball handling, power kicking.
There it is.
Goalkeeping, offensive play, and defensive
play.
Is that technical? but we have offensive and defensive play. Maybe that's like an overall thing.
Oh no, Manchester United's dying. Just like their season.
Hey, Nate, I've been meaning to ask you, how do you think Amaram, is that? Amram. How do you think Mr. Ruben Amram's going to do?
Hopefully better than that. I'm actually really looking forward to him, though. I've heard his new system is defensive, but allows players to kind of showcase their abilities back going forward. And so it sounds like from Sporting, he's going to bring over a 3-4-3. It defends in a low block and then gets forward quickly.
We'll get into it in the pro soccer segment. I'm excited, though. I just read about his career. It's Eric's career. Just read about Ruben's career, though. And he was assisting a team. I think he retired at 31 from playing because he knew he was going to be a better manager than he was a player. He was on a couple teams but didn't have his UEFA B license, so he had to be registered as an assistant manager, but somehow everyone knew he was the actual manager. He got found out. He had to go to a different team, Sporting, and now is doing great. I think he's actually going to do a very good job for you guys. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see a coach who goes through a journey like that is kind of fresh in the game, maybe bring some new ideas to the league too.
Exactly. That's what I'm looking forward to most. Just something, an identity for Manchester United, which I don't feel like they've had for the last couple years or so. Uh-oh. No, guys, hang on.
We need the nails.
Right.
More tape?
More tape. We'll try one more time. Boy, man, you just ran a heap too. That's perfect. Oh. Yeah, right.
Nice. Spinning chair. How do I do this? Every time.
Come on, buddy. Hang on.
I'm trying. Pretty sure the other podcast tape this guys. All right, Nate, does anything stick out to you on this evaluation? Remember, it's just a technical evaluation. Does anything stick out to you?
Controlling and receiving.
What do you mean by that?
It's kind of the things that isn't talked about enough as like little kids getting into the game. I feel like most people involved in the game talk about a kid's good dribbling skills, their good shooting skills, maybe their passing skills, but you don't hear enough about controlling the ball or receiving and turning with the ball.
Yeah. They say your most important touch, your first touch. Very important. Okay, I gotta talk about power kicking. Yeah. Let's go. The one I'm looking at is power kicking, obviously, because how is that different than passing and shooting? Shouldn't those include power kicking? I don't really like just the phrasing of power kicking because why are we kicking for power? Is there decision making? I know it's just technical, but I think you could do those in passing and shooting without encouraging these huge passes or huge shots. So that's what sticks out to me with power kicking. I'm like, can we find a different phrase? Can we just include that in the other ones and say, hey, maybe on my evaluation for Nate, instead of giving just poor, needs work, average or fair, good and excellent as a checkbox here, maybe I say, Nate, hey, I think your passing is average or fair. I think one way you could improve that is by playing a range of passes. Maybe Nate plays kind of some Busquets type passes where he's very sneaky and plays small passes, but doesn't see the big game. So maybe in passing, I encourage Nate, hey, let's try some bigger passes. Can you pick your head up? Look at the field and read the situation. Can you play something that's maybe more effective for our team at that time?
I like that. So no more power kicking, but maybe a range of passes.
Everything else on here, except for offensive and defensive play. In soccer, we usually say attacking and defending, not offensive. It's kind of an American thing. So I'm thinking this was made by an American, which, no hate, we're Americans. But just not quite as nuanced as I'd like to see a technical evaluation be.
At least we don't need a transition game.
All right, so in this one, it has a place for the name, so each player goes across. Then it has technical, tactical, physical, and psychosocial skills. Sounds familiar?
Yes, I remember those.
Really good way that U.S. soccer, and really soccer in general, categorizes these skills. And in technical, we have receiving, ball striking, and dribbling for penetration or possession. So Nate, what are your first thoughts on that one?
That one makes sense. Most players like to go forward when they dribble, and so I understand that's probably penetration. What I think they're also looking for is maybe dribbling to keep the ball. Let's say you look up and you see two players in front of you. Instead of passing the ball away, you can maybe just dribble.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's for sure. What dribbling for possession is, and something that we don't talk about a lot, because we talk about 1v1s and attacking, and I need to go past that player, or I need to take the space in front of me. Sometimes you have to take the space to the side or behind you, though. Maybe it's blocked in front of me. Maybe it'd be better for me to change direction and look at a different part of the field rather than I have to beat that player. I have to go take them on, right? Which again goes back to my U9 thing. Do we teach them just the attacking things because that's the skill we want to see? I think there's more though. I think there's more in it. Changing direction specifically, I think, is super important at the 7v7 game, or even earlier if you can, to teach to young players, because that allows them to see different parts of the field. It allows them to kind of open up their options in the game. So I'm a big fan of changing direction. I think that's what this person's talking about when they talk about dribbling for possession. And it's not always forward, right? Dribbling isn't always forward. So that's one for you coaches out there too. Remember, there's many, many different ways to dribble the ball.
I have a fun story about a U4 player once that I might have coached that maybe lives upstairs. One time he received the ball and he saw that he couldn't go forwards to the goal. And so he went all the way back into his own goal box and then all the way around and got forward. And then he was able to put the ball in the back of the net.
So effective for your U5, right?
It was pretty effective for U5, but you'd like to maybe see a pass there.
Maybe not something we're going to encourage for 7v7 soccer. It's effective. I'm sure it was effective because they play the blob soccer.
Oh, yeah, everybody was behind him by the end.
But my point is, as soon as we play 7v7, yeah, the space is going to be there. But you don't get to dribble around the whole field. First of all, he's going to get tired. The field's a lot bigger. And also, the defenders are in better spots, right? They occupy the space better. So you're not allowed to do that.
It was definitely the first and last time he did that in a game.
All right, switching over to tactical here, we have speed of play. All right. Let's just start with that one. Tactical speed of play. Now, I kind of like it because... Eric, come on. I kind of like speed of play being in tactical because it's kind of a catch-all, right? It includes how well you scan the field, how good your first touch is, how well you evaluate the decisions on the field and make a good one. I imagine this is speed of play not making bad choices. This is speed of play making good choices. So I actually like this one as a catch-all. I don't think it's the most helpful for the player, but maybe this is for internal. Maybe this is for coaches. For this next one, I want to be clear. I don't know where this is from. It doesn't have any markings or anything. So this could be for any age of player, but it also could be for any age of player. So the next one is game sense or plays with purpose. And for me, that has so much in it. Where am I going to be evaluating a 7v7 player on game sense and playing with purpose? I think you can evaluate the opposite way, where it's playing without purpose. That's really easy to see. That's when the player's just reacting, right? They're not thinking through the game. So I think playing with purpose kind of ties into speed of play, where I'm processing the game. So I like these ones for tactical. I think there's a lot more like positioning that you could talk about. Maybe any of the principles of play are not present in here, but a good starting spot. So the first one in physical here is speed/agility, which they're kind of married to each other, but I see speed as top-end speed. I'm going in a straight line, and you have that space at 7v7. There is that space there for now to go in that straight line, and that is one of those things that pops to a lot of people. Right? It looks like that player is super good because they're super fast. Agility is a little different. I actually like agility a lot more, especially at certain ages. Really at all ages. Like I said, changing direction I think is huge. I think this one with physical is just the player's ability to change direction. So yeah, they have their top end speed, maybe with and without the ball. Doesn't get into that really. But agility I think is a great one because it helps you with attacking and defending, especially defending. You have to be agile. You have to have good movement skills. So I think there's a lot in this one that I think is really good because a lot of coaches might look at speed, but do you look at playing in different directions? Do you look at the player getting out of pressure that's maybe a little ambiguous? Maybe there's 2 players or 3 players on because we're playing blob ball.
So in tenacity and first to ball, what is it that the evaluators are exactly looking for in that environment?
I don't think I'd evaluate players on first to ball. This kind of reminds me of a bad habit that I see literally every game, and it's two players from the same team that are running towards this ball in the middle, and what does everyone shout when they get right here?
Talk!
Exactly. And it's putting the problem downstream or not realizing the problem is upstream. The problem is not that they are this close. The problem is that they didn't realize by looking around the field, I'm running at a teammate who's already running at the ball. So that's actually what we're talking about when that's happening. So when everyone yells talk at that moment, and that's sometimes the only thing that some spectators say the entire game is talk at that moment, it's downstream, right? The problem is upstream, where first of all, I think that's the product of what you're seeing. That's the result of planning ahead, scanning on defense, which I don't think any of these evaluations are talking about, right? Do I look around and see where the danger is? Do I see where the opportunities are too to hunt the ball? So if I see this ball is coming in to Nate, I'm not the first to the ball because we're standing next to each other and I'm just stronger or fiercer or more tenacious or aggressive. I am the first to the ball because I'm actually hunting this player. I'm standing back. When this pass comes in, now I'm leaping on it. Now I'm pouncing. I went out on the first touch. So that's one thing I think of first of all. It doesn't have to be a pass. It could be the second ball. Let's say a goalie punts it. We win the first ball or whatever else. It's who wins that second ball. And again, it's just anticipating. I think anticipating is upstream. This is downstream. This is more the result of that.
So this last category here, psychological.
Oh, yeah. I thought it said psychosocial because it's so small.
How would coaches or trainers go about assessing progress trajectory?
Kind of confusing to start. First thing that pops into my head, though, is thinking about those players who are on the right trajectory, right? So at 7v7, it's not that player who's super big, fast, strong, kicks the ball from half field trying to score, dribbling past 5 players, or attempting to, but only getting past 3 and then losing it. That would be a player I would say is on a lower trajectory, just from those two things. We're just looking at those. Versus a player that scans, sees the field, reads the game, maybe isn't as effective. Maybe it's that player that's smaller in size because they haven't developed enough, because players at this age can vary 1 to 3 years in either direction on things like physical development and cognitive development. So I think about those players that maybe have the cognitive development there. Maybe they're ahead of players their age, but they don't have the physical yet. So those players are on a great trajectory.
No, come on, guys.
Don't you dare.
No, stop it. Hang on.
I think we'll leave it up. This is kind of fun. See how many we have left. It's like a little Easter egg.
Maybe we have a comment. Yeah.
Which
this guy's video, guys.
Which scarf ball was your favorite?
We gotta do that extra time. But
Nate's,
progress trajectory.
Yeah, so that makes me think of this idea of 2 different types of players, or we could break it down into 4 really. But let's just take 2. Let's say there's a player who has an A-type talent. They're really talented, but maybe their mindset, those things that we talked about, like being coachable, let's say, being respectful, being motivated. Maybe they have this talent, but they don't have the mindset for it.
So would you call that an A-B player?
It's like an A-B player. Take the other player, for example, a player with B talent, but A mindset might not be super effective right now, super successful at their game right now. But what's going to happen is that player who has an A talent, but B mindset is eventually going to stop growing as much, right? They rely on their talent, and because they didn't cultivate their mindset, their talent's all they have. And they might get some mindset later, especially the longer that they play. But that player is not going to reach the heights as the player who has an A mindset and a B kind of talent level just for now. Because in my opinion, I think that player is going to catch up to the AB player. That BA player with the great mentality is going to be training, is going to be coachable. They're going to be learning. They're going to be progressing faster than that player who is an AB player. So that sticks out to me on progress trajectory. Is one of those players I think is on a better trajectory long term.
So then what would an AA player look like?
That's a unicorn. Not a lot exist. I think some of those guys are going to show up in our aura section of the professional soccer segment.
Looking forward to that.
All right, so this one is from Nate. I have one more from the greatest manager ever, Arsene Wenger.
Second greatest Premier League manager of all time.
You talking about Eric Ten Hag?
No, he's more like the scarf.
I know who you're talking about. Sir Alex.
Correct.
Okay.
The greatest manager of all time.
There's a bunch of them out there. They work on the foot skills. Here's another one from Arsene Wenger, greatest manager ever, about the stamina of motivation and why that's more important than the strength of your motivation. Those players A, B, and BA. Take a look. Cursed.
The stamina in a motivation is more important than the intensity of the motivation. That means those who resist to frustration. When a guy has a low rate, 0 to 10, is a 2 or 3 in stamina of the motivation. He doesn't survive. The stamina in a
The stamina of the motivation is more important than the strength of the motivation. So that's a player who might be super motivated. Maybe their parents tell them to play soccer. Say, hey, you're going to this. You're going to this. If that player is not as motivated as the parent is, that player is not going to be playing soccer for very long or much longer anyway. Right? So that's how you get burnt out. The player who has maybe a medium, I wouldn't say low motivation, but a medium motivation.
More than 2 or 3.
More than 2 or 3. Some people say, we don't have to be serious about soccer at a young age. We get serious, or we are getting serious about it. So you don't have to be motivated to go win a World Cup at U9. That's not the most important thing. Really, it's enjoying. And if you can enjoy it long enough that that player stays in the game, then they will be that player that maybe is a BA right now, but because of their mindset being an A, because they enjoy it, because they're motivated, even just a bit, just the stamina of the motivation, that player is going to rise and rise and rise and keep rising. While the other extreme, again, they are extremes, that player is going to burn out very quickly. Their flame will fizzle. All right, now it's time for professional soccer. Ooh. We look super professional with 3 scarves on the wall. Mr. Can't Tie a Tie and Mr. Can Tie a Tie decently well. With a hat on, backwards hat, with a suit. But we're here. Nate, tell us about pro soccer. What's happening in the pro soccer world?
All right, everybody. I don't know how many games you watched over the weekend, but there's some great soccer going on over in Europe. I hope I didn't let you down with the game of the week, getting up at 7:30 in the morning to watch Arsenal drop points against Newcastle.
Arsenal get fouled, I think 16 times. They showed a graphic. Newcastle 16 fouls to Arsenal's 14.
30 total in 83 minutes.
The game wasn't even done yet. So yeah, I had a great time watching your game of the week.
I couldn't find my player in that game of the week, but I did find him in Spain. Barcelona's Dani Olmo had a fantastic performance with 2 goals, both of them really nice, but not nice enough for goal of the week. The goal of the week was probably watched by many of you, and unfortunately hurts me to say that Moises Caicedo, with his lovely takedown just from outside the box, beating Onana near post after putting it through the legs of ice-cold Palmer. It was a pretty nice goal.
Cold dummy he did.
Does he get the assist?
Technically, no.
No, that's too bad. My flop of the week goes to a guy who he wasn't very smart. Edson Alvarez of West Ham. He had a yellow card early in the match, and then just before halftime decides that he needs to go right through a player to get to the ball. Is that allowed?
Did he get a red card?
He got a second yellow, but it probably should have been orange.
Orange?
Yeah, not quite a red, but reckless.
What'd you think about the Martinez tackle on freezing cold Palmer? Yellow card, red card?
That was probably an orange card too, actually.
That was the orangest card I've ever seen.
Yeah, lucky to stay on the field, but he probably shouldn't be doing that again.
Don't do it again. That's all.
Lisandro Martinez, you get 2 yellows. Not quite a red, but definitely an orange.
An orange. And yeah. Edson Alvarez, what are you doing?
Get out of here.
You're a flop. There you go.
Before I get into Team of the Week, I just want to give an honorable mention to my favorite goalkeeper, Dane St. Clair, who had one heck of a performance in the penalty shootout.
No.
No. I guess we can't honor you, Dane.
We can. We can honor him by showing him balling out right here. Take a look at these.
All right, and before we get to Team of the Week, I want you guys to try to guess who you think it might be. My nominations were Tottenham Hotspurs, Atalanta, Bournemouth, Bayern Munich, and Frankfurt. Time's up. My Team of the Week this week was a team that beat their opponent for the first time in 22 matches.
Ooh, that was Bayern Munich, right?
No, they always beat their opponents. I imagine they've won 22 in a row. No, this weekend, Bournemouth, hosting Manchester City, was able to squeak out a win.
Come on, you cherries. Thank you. Thank you very much. I don't have an Arsenal scarf here, but thank you. Appreciate it.
We love you, cherries. This next part of the segment is one of my favorite things that I've been doing since probably 2008. And I always kind of predict my own wonder kids. So, players that are like 20 and under that are going to, come onto the game, maybe win a Ballon d'Or in the future or get purchased by Manchester City for $100 million here in a couple of months.
Both pretty good fates.
Yeah, wouldn't be bad. But I decided to ask Charlie what 3 players he thinks are going to stand out in the future, and then I will present 3 players myself.
And I can tell you, Nate is, again, the pro soccer guy. He has done his research. I haven't, so I'm starting with an easy one. That is Lamine Yamal.
I was going to use him.
I said his name wrong.
Sorry, Lamine.
Lamine Yamal. Okay. We should do that again.
And Charlie's
Record myself. Lamine Yamal. Shocker, right? He was part of that Danny Olmo goal with
beautiful pass.
Outside the left foot, looking like a player you might know. Maybe also played for Barcelona, left foot.
Argentinian?
Angel, no, he played for Real Madrid. You're talking about Messi, right?
Yeah, it was a Messi type pass.
And he's I think, Messi type player. Big words, but he's a big player already.
He's already won a Euros.
Oh my gosh, I didn't even realize that. It's crazy.
Who's your second player?
Next one, my new boy, Ethan Nwaneri from Arsenal. The kid's amazing. He might still be 14. I think he's 16. But he's coming on, making appearances in the Cup, in the league. Played against Newcastle. Yeah, and he looks the part already. He's only a teenager still, balling out. And for my club, please stay, Ethan. Please stay. Don't go to City or anything.
Pep's watching.
Pep, shut your eyes, turn around. Still watch the podcast.
For those that don't know, who do you think he plays like a little bit?
It's kind of a tough one because he's so young yet. And he just has all this talent with the mindset too. He's an AA player, a unicorn.
AA player.
I'd say maybe Ricardo Kaká. He was one of my favorites too. Grew up watching him. Loved just his style of play, how creative he was, how fast he did things when he needed to. And I see a lot of the same things in Ethan too.
That's awesome. It's going to be one heck of a player for Arsenal if he stays.
Kaká, Ballon d'Or, right? Ballon d'Or, did he win one?
I think he might have snuck one in there in between the Messi-Ronaldo dynamic duo.
I think it was during his AC Milan days, maybe.
I think he did. Why don't you research that for us and let us know?
And my third one didn't.
Another Arsenal player?
No. That would be too easy. We have lots of them. Lewis Skelly. No, this one is a player who might seem like he's coming out of right field or right wing. Because I heard that he didn't have a great last couple games, but the kid's got it. Also Argentinian, actual Argentinian. That is Alejandro Garnacho, of all people.
Excellent
Your
choice.
Team. Yeah.
Excellent choice.
I just love how direct he is. He's very good at dribbling. He's very effective. He's actually not effective, but I think he's got the spark there, and that's what we're doing here. Is I think he's a player to watch. Ballon d'Or, that'd be a stretch, but I think when you're looking up to Ronaldo and Messi is playing on your international team, I think you're in pretty good hands.
Future Manchester United for sure.
Arsenal, come on over. Nate, I know you got 3 better ones than that. Not that mine aren't amazing, because Ethan is amazing. But go ahead and tell us who we really should be watching.
All right, guys, and we want to know who you think down in the comments below, too. See if your 3 players will beat out both of ours.
Tell me if you think Garnacho can make it.
My first player is Kenan Yildiz. He's the left winger on Juventus, and he has taken the Serie A by storm. I first saw him playing in the Euros with Turkey, alongside Arda Güler, who also got considered for this list. Fantastic player. In fact, maybe you've heard it here first, guys. Turkey 2032 European champions.
Big prediction. Hey,
So-
I don't know who this guy is. Can
So
you tell
you'll-
us a little bit about him?
Yeah, Yildiz is kind of that take-on players type guy. Loves to get in those 1v1 situations out wide and then cut in on a stronger foot. For any of you that used to watch Bayern Munich, Frank Ribery also used to do the same. I think Bayern won 11 titles in a row with Frank Ribery and Arjen Robben as their dynamic duo.
And you said cut inside. I thought Robin. Then you said Bayern Munich. I was like Robin. They had two. They're both
It's
amazing
not even
players.
fair. Well, he's like both of them. My second player, probably my favorite player in the world right now. He's missing for Manchester United, but he's been sensational since the first game, and that's Kobe Mainoo. And he's their box-to-box 8. He's winning balls at the back. He's getting forward, helping the attacks. Scored the game-winning goal against Wolves last year. Look that one up if you haven't seen it. Just an absolutely fantastic player.
I love watching him play. He doesn't put a foot wrong. He puts in tackles. He's creative. A joy to watch.
Michael Essien for all you Chelsea fans out there.
Ooh, very big shoes. All right.
The one player I wanted to sign that got away. My final player is a little more obscure, unless you watch the Bundesliga, which I do every single week. Alexander Pavlovich, a German that plays in the center of the park for Bayern Munich. And he's elegant and graceful and all the things you want in a distributing midfielder.
Nate, for those of us who don't know, like someone in this room, who is this guy? What does he play like? Could you compare him to maybe like a different player?
I think I could, but I'm not going to compare him to you. I'm going to compare him to Andre Pirlo, the Juventus AC Milan legend.
You used my name in the same sentence as Andrea Pirlo.
He moves the ball pretty nice, everybody.
I'll take it. I'll take it. Sunday League Pirlo. And Nate, this Pavlovich guy, for the young kids like me, we don't know him. Kids younger than me, they're saying Riz and stuff like that. These crazy, crazy words.
I would more or less say he has like an aura about him, like a distinctive atmosphere about a given source, something that everybody thinks about or talks about, or, like Zlatan, for example. He had great aura.
Big aura on Zlatan.
Yeah.
Giant.
He probably had the most. I have some personal favorites, though, that I'd like to share, if that's okay.
Yeah. Who's got aura?
So, one of my favorite Manchester United aura players of all time was a center forward, about 10, 15 years ago. And every time he got on the ball, you're thinking, go, like, do it more aggressively. But he was almost the opposite. He kind of sat on the ball or flicked it or, took his time with it. But
I already know who he's talking about.
that player is
Yep.
Dimitar Berbatov. He has aura.
He has aura. He has that aura where, and aura, this intangible kind of thing, right? Where, like you said, he plays at his own speed. And he's the only guy who can do that in the Premier League, I'm pretty sure. That's an aura.
Yeah, he was the only one you wanted to have slow it down. My second player is probably somebody you Gen X's are familiar with. For me, he's probably the greatest aura player of like the 1990s.
This could be anyone.
No, it's only one. That player is R9, ladies and gentlemen, Ronaldo. Not the Portuguese one, the good one.
They both had aura.
They both have aura.
You telling me Ronaldo didn't have aura 2006 to 2008 at Manchester United?
Yeah, when his shirt came off, he had a little bit of aura. I'm going to save my best for last, though. This group of players has always been special to me. I was an exchange student in Germany in the year 2000, and so Germany I've kind of adopted as my second favorite national team. And so when they won it in 2014, they did it with a group of players, not necessarily an individual. They beat Brazil 7-1. And so I'd like to recognize the entire midfield of Germany.
Der Mannschaft.
Yeah.
Hey, look at
These
that.
guys. They had Mesut Ozil, the creator.
Aura.
They had Lucas Podolski.
The hammer.
They had Thomas Müller, the player you didn't want to mess with.
Doesn't have individual aura necessarily, but
Well, he
fits
always
with
got the
team.
job done. Yeah. They had Toni Kroos, guy who can't miss a pass.
Aura.
Yeah, aura. They had Bastian Schweinsteiger, talking about stamina. The
Aura.
guy's still running right now. He's literally out there running. And then my favorite super sub of all time, game-winning goal scorer, Mario Götze. Who
Aura.
has a little bit of aura.
That's 5 Aura players in the same midfield. That's crazy. Ultimate Aura.
Pretty special. That's a team Germany will never forget.
And, I recently thought of a couple players who have aura. Zidane, my first ever World Cup I watched was 2006. Zidane, everyone's talking about him. I have no idea who this guy is, but it's his last tournament. They put him in the final wearing golden boots. Everyone's talking about him, and it's the last game of his career. And there's that like film of him just running on the field for 90 minutes. Beautiful. Aura.
Aura.
The whole movie is just aura, and that whole game in the World Cup until something happened. It was maybe regrettable.
I'm not quite sure you're talking about.
Ultimate aura. Everyone's talking about this guy. He has gold shoes.
That's crazy.
You can't get more aura than gold shoes, I think.
Is there anybody that maybe doesn't play the game that you would consider to have aura? A stadium or like a coach or a referee?
I did see a really cool video of that Boca Juniors stadium that Messi was at recently. Take a look at this. Would you not want to play there?
Oh, that's wild.
That's crazy. So that's I don't know the name of the state. You said the name of it.
I don't even know it that well. The La Bomberia or something similar to that. You Spanish speakers, help me out down in the comments below.
Oh, and then actually Spanish speakers, an arbitro or arbitra. Tori Penso from the Manchester United game, I thought had ultimate aura. I think she did a World Cup final or Euros final a couple of years ago, and it's not often you know an MLS referee's name. But as soon as I saw Tori was on the game yesterday, I was like, let's go. This is going to be a well-officiated game. She had some advantages that were super fun to watch. I know I sound like a referee nerd right here. She does a great job. And I think aura, she controls the game so well. I think Tori Penso has some aura as a referee.
I almost forgot the game was being played. Before we go, guys, let's talk about games of the week that you might want to watch this weekend. Unfortunately, Arsenal and Chelsea are back on my list. They meet up this week. A London derby, not the London derby, or maybe it's the London derby. I don't know. There's 9 Premier League teams that reside in London, and so I don't know which one it is, but
There's 2 of them.
you should watch Arsenal and Chelsea this weekend.
Is that one affected by daylight savings time?
Not this time. We're back at it, guys. So tune into your local channels. But
I'll be tuning in probably to an illegal stream online. Don't tell anyone.
My second game of the week is a Bundesliga match. It's Stuttgart versus Frankfurt. And last week, Frankfurt played Bochum, and they scored a touchdown worth of goals. And that was with 20 minutes to go in the match.
Just had to do the math there.
Yeah, 7 for those of you at home. And Stuttgart's been inconsistent this year, but like inconsistently beautiful. They sit in the top 8 of the Champions League. And then they beat Borussia Dortmund 5-1, but then they've lost some... that was a tough one for me. They've lost to some interesting teams as well. But that should be a good game. I can't predict it for you because it could go in any direction. Finally, we have the Romelu Lukaku Derby.
Wait, which one?
Well, he's been on 9 different teams. It's not West Bromwich versus Everton. It's not Chelsea versus Manchester United. That just happened. It's not Anderlecht versus Roma.
We're running out.
It's Inter versus Napoli.
Ooh.
Yeah. 2 really good teams, and Lukaku just left Inter for Napoli about 4 months ago, so tune into that one.
The Lukaku Derby.
Yeah.
I'll tune in for that. That sounds... I hope he scores a goal. I hope it's not all
Does he celebrate?
near misses. It's always something to watch, too. I mean, when you have 9 clubs, do you feel a loyalty? Maybe just like a nice sportsman-like thing, like one of these.
Or he fist bumps everyone.
Takes your shirt off, runs around the stage, does a Lambo leap. I'm showing my Wisconsin. Let's move on.
Extra time, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, it's time for extra time. The first thing I want to hear in extra time, because this is kind of the silly part of our episodes, tell us in the comments which scarf drop was your favorite? Which scarf did you most enjoy seeing booted from the game? Let us know. You got 3 to pick from.
So far.
These 3 are standing up. That's nice.
Yeah. Go Blaine.
All right, we're going to take a look at some memes, some goals, some funny moments, some entertaining things. Really whatever I just came up with this week. So let's take a look at the first one. This is a crazy goal from MLS. So goalie goes to punt it, somehow gets blocked.
Oh, wow.
I also really like how they're dressed as the Miami Dolphins.
Oh, yeah. I like the teal and orange.
It's a nice
Nice
look.
touch.
Soccer look.
A little soccer football.
All right, the next one. This one, sometimes it hurts to laugh, but you got to laugh. This one is my Arsenal, my dear Arsenal. I am not depressed,
no.
but certain weekends it kind of feels like it.
Good job, Magpies.
What's the saying? All I ask for is one normal week of Barclays. 30 fouls in 83 minutes. That's crazy. This next one, what we got? This is a crazy save. Look at this. His foot gets caught in the goal. He still makes the save.
Oh, wow.
So I'm assuming this is Sunday League somewhere. Goes off the crossbar. Still makes the save. Completely ruins the goal in the process.
Sign him up.
Hey, you got a goalie that's that dedicated? I'll take him.
Yellow card to the goalposts.
Red card to the finish. How are you not scoring that one?
Yeah.
This is one for Nate. This is Anthony arriving for Amarims. Is that how you say it? Amarims' first training session. Puts his key in. Can't get in the door. You're not allowed back. We got Garnacho.
We have Garnacho now. U20.
Anthony does not have enough aura to
Get
be on
out,
this team.
Anthony.
No aura, you can leave. All right. Hey, you take it away. I don't even know what to say about this.
Wait, who's Will Smith, Audrey?
Watching Arsenal is like watching Netflix. You always wait till the next season.
No.
Again, it hurts. It hurts.
It's too soon. It's like Premier League week 11.
And you know what, Nate? Man City loses sometimes. And no one says a single thing. I don't see 30 memes about it. We just kind of move on. It's not fair.
And they get bored with us. We're lower half of the table.
This is not this. This is Germany Football Club. Okay, I'm skipping that. Eric Ten Hag on his way back to Ajax after giving them. Okay.
I'm hoping Amaroom doesn't do that with Sporting.
What is this? I forgot this one. Dallo to Casemiro.
Ooh. Lovely bit of skill.
There we go.
Legends. Which one of those players is going to make my player of the week next?
This has Yamal in the same position as Messi, like we said earlier.
It's almost like he's next in line.
We'll see. We'll have to stay tuned.
Oh.
Real Madrid fans preparing for El Clasico. They have a folder full of memes if we win, and a folder full of 4K photos of our 36 La Liga and 15 Champions League if we lose. Never fails, does it?
Stay classy, Real.
Oh, talking about aura.
There it is.
Prime aura is Real Madrid's number 7, whoever it is.
Which one's your favorite?
Tell us in the comments. Tell us right now.
Who's your favorite?
My favorite is Ronaldo. Love Ronaldo.
I have to go with Ronaldo too. But Vinny should have won the Ballon d'Or.
If I speak, I get in big trouble. So I prefer not to speak. Oh my!
Oh! Speaking of aura, for the very last time, that was Thomas Mueller, everyone, getting a blatant red card.
This, you do get a red card for all of these. These are
Oh!
just about the worst things I've seen. I was going to say all week, maybe in my life. Those are terrible tackles.
This is why my kids play and I don't.
All right, I'm skipping. My knees hurt looking at this. Arsenal every year. Okay.
Just about at it.
Early days. Oh my gosh, it hurts to laugh. You said, hey, we kind of just talked about this, right? It's the blob ball of U7, sometimes U11 soccer. That's how it looks. I see this every week. Next up, what is happening here? We got Sunday League, off the post, off
That's
the
got to go in,
goalie.
right? Oh, you weren't hoping
Wait, red
for
shot,
that.
right?
That was an own goal on the stripes.
It almost looked like he celebrated there. It looked like he was trying to score it, hit it top corner to be emphatic. He goes, yeah,
He
and then you
definitely
see
changed kits and no one noticed.
and you see him collapse. I forgot the red team
Yellow card for that guy.
started that one. Let's see, when you take your boots off after 5-a-side. Yep, this is us in the dome. That's a bunch of rubber beads from the turf going into my car, my house, my bed, my ear, my nose, my hair. These turf things show up everywhere. It's a nightmare. Oh, that one has volume on it. This one is, if shin guards could talk, we have Maximus, is that his name?
Yeah.
And we have these giant hulking shin guards with the ankle guards too. And then we have the guy from 21 Jump Street. My name's Jeff. Little dinky shin guards. Hey, players don't wear those. The hardest part to break your leg is at the top there where it's positioned. The easiest place is the thinnest place at the bottom of the leg. So do Jack Grealish if you're going to do this. Wear him as low as possible. That guy's not doing anything to help him. All right, and last one here. This one I laugh at nonstop every time. It's when you are running late to practice and you're telling your kid to hurry up. It's my kid going, shut up.
But don't worry, son. I'll go 77 on the freeway and it'll be fine.
Don't get dressed in the car or anything, right? All right, and this last one is from our friends at Minnesota United. Scarf currently on the ground. Currently, we're going to hang it up.
I hope you
again.
voted for him.
This was not Dane St. Clair. I don't think he made any errors. He was crazy this game. There was kind of a funny blooper, though, in the game.
Hashtag whoops-a-daisy.
Take a look at this. Whoop. Last defender, ball over the top. No one else even close except for Yeboah. Don't worry, Yeboah doesn't score this one, but just when you go for that big kick, sometimes it doesn't go right.
Power kicks.
Power kicking. That's power kicking right there, and that's why you don't do it. Hey, that was extra time. Hey, if you have anything you want to submit to us, if you have any memes or goals you want to see next week, let us know. You can let us know on Instagram. That's the best place. Hey, now for our scouting report. This is something that we're looking forward to. We're excited about. Something that gives us hope. Mine is, hey, we live in the United States. It's a crazy week for us right now. Something might be happening very soon.
Please get out there and vote.
Do it. Please go and vote. And it just brings up something in my mind. You know, a lot of people are stressed this week, probably for good reason. And soccer is an escape. It's an escape for us who watch it, us who play it. And really, it's a great chance to just not think about all those other things that are going on in the world. Just enjoy your soccer. So that's something that I always love about soccer. That gives me hope. No matter what else is going on, we can always talk about soccer. And that's an escape for a lot of people. So if you do that, enjoy your escape this week.
My escape this week is going to Chicago with the U13 boys upstairs. Should be a lot of fun. We're going to see 4, what I imagine, really good teams out there playing. And so hopefully we'll get good weather and lots of goals.
Can't wait to hear about it. Tune in next week. I think Nate will let us know. Hey, you can join the squad by following us on Instagram at Grassroots Champions. You can follow us on YouTube and Rumble at Grassroots Champions Podcast. You can follow us on X at Grass Champs Pod. That does it for episode 2.
Thanks for
See you in
watching.
the next one. Hey, keep your aura.